This is the Batman episode. Batman was my favorite superhero as a little kid. If you asked like 5-year-old Rob, who's your favorite superhero? It was Batman, hands down. And for like 3 or 4 years in a row, I wore the same Michael Keaton Batman costume for Halloween.
Batman.
I would not dress as anything other than him. First costume I ever did was Raphael from the Ninja Turtles, and then like 3 years after that, it was just Batman. And I was super hyped to see the movie. I went in with zero expectations because I didn't watch any of the trailers. I didn't read any of the reviews. I take every review that I see with a grain of salt because I usually don't agree with what people have to say about movies. They'll say, "Oh, this is trash. That's trash. I hated the Matrix." I like the Matrix. I like the new Matrix. Was it a perfect movie? No, but I'm not looking for the perfect movie. I'm looking to go enjoy a movie. So for this movie, I have to say they did the job. I got to see more detective Batman than I have ever seen in another movie. If I wanted to compare it to another iteration of Batman, I'd say this is closest to, like, say, the Arkham Asylum game specifically. Yes, Arkham City and some of their sequels did have some detective work, and yeah, with the Riddler and stuff, there was a lot of puzzles that you had to solve. But Arkham Asylum specifically was about Batman being a detective. And I
Even
really,
his armor.
really was excited to see this movie. And I thought that the new Batmobile was really cool. I thought that his outfit was great. And I appreciate that this is a year 2 Batman. So we have to go into there with that expectation that he's not the seasoned veteran crime fighter that we're used to in most of the iterations. He is a brand new superhero. He kind of got some of his initial kinks out, so he has some of his gadgetry. But what he's missing is that seasoned, confidence.
Yeah.
There's a scene where like he kind of like stands, and now just so you know, we do have spoilers in this episode. So if you haven't seen Batman yet, for some reason, after a week of being out, that's on you. But this is a spoiler episode. But there is a scene where he is about to leap off of a building, like we've seen him do so many times through so many movies, and he hesitates for the first time on camera. Batman doesn't take that leap of faith. And he has to like change his outfit into like almost like a flying squirrel suit, which is it's a wingsuit.
His reaction though was really awkward. It was like, "Ooh, with the vipers."
But and then I also appreciate like later in the movie where like he's trying to like, I guess, chase. What was he? He was trying to chase the penguin,
right.
And he ends up like falling and limping away, and like this is some real shit.
My
like,
back.
Like it creates a more interesting Batman because it's a Batman that can be beaten.
Even when he's fighting people, they're getting a couple of hits in on them.
They are getting hits on him. So
He's
this is not the invincible Batman. This isn't like this guy is like a fucking shadow. He knows every martial arts to the max, and like he's like
kind of approaching all the fights head on.
It's like a maxed out character walking around with noobs. It's like,
but he's not maxed out.
That's not the Batman from this movie. So if that's what you're expecting, don't go in with those expectations.
He's like a level 20 right now. He's
level 20. He's not. He's out of the starting zone, but he's also not ready for his first raid.
Don't start talking about.
He just got the class upgrade, like he got a second tier.
But I've spoken enough about Batman. I think we're gonna hand it over to Joe. What did you like? What did you not like?
Are you gonna score it?
Am I gonna score it? Well, I did give a little. My first impression of it. I said between 8.5 and 9.
Which one is it though?
It's what I'll go in the middle.
There you go.
I'll do like an 8.7. I'll do closer. I'll do closer to 8.7 because I don't think it was an 8.5, but a 9 movie really has to like sell me. And what I'm basing that on is the fact that I saw this movie. I'll probably see it again when I watch it with my dad, but I don't feel the need to ever watch it again. Like it's like, oh, well, this is required viewing multiple times.
Yeah.
I thought everybody did a fantastic job. Colin Farrell as the Penguin was like excellent. And what's really cool is I heard that he's supposed to get some kind of spin-off show on his own with that character, the Penguin, which is really promising considering his role in that movie. And it's fun because he rubs shoulders with some of his rogues gallery, but it's very Batman for him to force them to help him try to take down their colleagues, and it's a lot of fun.
I don't know. It's hard to really get any better than that in terms of a Batman movie, in my opinion. I mean, You had everything from this very narrow focused cinematography. You have the lighting, very moody and dark, like grim. The music, the score. One of the big things I harp on a lot in a movie is the score. You know, how does the score make you feel? A score is a very powerful thing when it's done well. When it's shit, oh boy, like Batman with some Looney Tunes soundtrack. What the fuck is this? But when you have someone like Hans Zimmer or Michael Giacchino who's scoring it, like it just elevates.
Who
the
did
mood.
this score?
Michael Giacchino.
Okay.
He did the Rogue One score. I think he might have done the Spider-Man score, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Spider-Man No Way Home score. But the way that they used the music in that movie to enhance the feeling of certain themes was really powerful. The themes where Batman was doing his really cool detective work and the way they really elevated that. They used like a very like it's common if you've played like any I don't know a stealth section in like I don't know GTA I guess or LA Noire when you're doing detective work or any detective based work in a game. There's a very constant theme that's sort of memorable, which is like a low hum from like lower like orchestra, like a cello or a bass, and then usually you have the higher pitched instruments like the viola and the violins that are like plucking that is supposed to almost emulate like this constant like drip or tension exactly, and it's like what's building up to next, and they use that a lot in the detective work that Batman was doing, which I thought was phenomenal because it really makes it adds that extra tension to the scene that a lot of detective
It's like a noir.
yeah
kinda.
exactly
Yeah.
it gives it that old feeling that
Yeah.
Gotham really portrayed. It was old,
It was a modern movie,
grimy.
but it felt like that noir gangster.
exactly.
You know.
It gave it that noir grim feel, the moody feel that Batman deserves in his movies. I mean, overall, like to me, this is a masterpiece of a superhero film in its own specific way. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you are gonna be like, "Well, Endgame was really good." Yeah, Endgame is good, but like, Endgame is like a popcorn like kind of movie fun. It's a different kind of fun than the Batman.
It's a blockbuster.
It's a blockbuster where the Batman is its own sort of thing because it's not a popcorn beat the shit out of everyone kind of thing. It's a build up. It's an intense sort of not necessarily thought provoking, but it's tense. It's more mature. It's its own sort of blockbuster, and
There's
yeah,
definitely a tonal difference between
Yes.
Marvel and DC.
certainly. And I hope they keep that tonal difference with their newer movies coming out. Like Black Adam is one that I think is exciting moving forward. The Rock's big debut with DC. The Flash, I think Flashpoint. If I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
Flashpoint. Hopefully they try and keep some kind of more mature theme to that. I mean, DC's found the right formula finally. They just got to run with it, and if they don't, well,
And you can't take away from DC with animated movies.
No,
They
DC's the
really-
best.
they-
DC's
they
the best with
absolutely
animated
hands
movies.
down make the best
But
animated
that's
movies.
different segment. I mean, I think
100%.
it's undisputed. DC does the best animated movies.
That's why I appreciate that there's a Marvel and a DC because
Yeah.
who wins in the end? It's the
There's
fans,
different.
you
There's
know?
different. There's different things that they're better at. But people have just been wanting good DC movies, like actual live action movies, for a while. I think the Batman really, it really finally did DC fans justice. So yeah, I thought it was fucking amazing. I'm gonna go see it again. Probably I'll wait till it goes on streaming like HBO Max.
It's gonna be like a few
45
weeks.
days.
Yeah, I'll wait for it to come on then, but I'll watch it at home, and I thought it was fucking amazing.
And you're sticking with the 9.5?
Absolutely.
All right, Joe.
We're just gonna crisscross.
Yeah. Why not?
All right, yeah. I really enjoyed it. I'm a huge Batman fan. For me, Batman is as important as He-Man or Thor is to you, Rob. So for me, like I grew up on the '66 Batman, '89 Batman, the Super Friends Batman. So I was like hyped for this. Like I was extremely hyped for this. And it delivered. It was a very, very good movie. It was unlike any other Batman movie that we had seen previously. It was very grounded. You got a very grounded take on Gotham, on the neighborhood, on the Iceberg Lounge, things like that. And yeah, he is a little clumsy. He's not as actually smooth and proficient in his, gadgetry or his martial arts as someone who's, been doing this for 15 years, just second year. saying that aside, I really loved Catwoman. I thought by far she stole the show for me, and I have a huge crush on her now. So Zoe Kravitz, wow,
Smoking.
she is the hottest Catwoman that we've ever seen on screen. Period. And I thought Colin Farrell for me like was the showstopper.
Yeah.
You can't even tell that that's him in that makeup and that kind of
Oh yeah.
outfit. I thought he was awesome. It kind of reminisced me and gave me kind of the vibes of like Al Pacino and Dick Tracy. They played Big Boy. Big Boy did it. Big Boy did it. Big Boy did it. Big Boy did it.
20 seconds, no more dick.
So yeah, I agree. It definitely had that noir feel. I'm finally getting to see like Batman do some detective work, which was what we were kind of missing in some of the other movies that came out. And yes, it was a lot like Arkham Asylum, and even his armor at certain points looked reminiscent of the Arkham Asylum, armor that he had and the cowl and things like that.
His symbol was an actual batarang.
Right, he just popped it off and he could chuck it or slice something open. Really, really cool. All that aside, I thought the Riddler was fantastic. Definitely creepy. He had that psychological, Chris coined it as like the Zodiac killer, and it was definitely like very, very reminiscent of that. I really enjoyed that. I gave the movie an 8.5, and for me, an 8.5 is a very, very high score. 8.5 means it's very, very good. If you give something a 9.5, if I gave something a 9.5, that means it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. It's an all-time classic. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen. So it's very hard for me to go that route. And I disagree with you about, having to see a movie over and over again. I think the feeling that you get once you come out of the theater, and we do have our reactions instantly when we came out of the theater, Vin. I think you just posted that recently. Mm-hmm. So you can see our instant reactions of how we felt as soon as we finished watching it on Wednesday, which we got to see it a couple days early, which was cool. Shout out to that theater, by the way, and as a great choice, Rod. That theater was awesome.
Yeah, that was the AMC Dine-In in East Northport, corner of Comac Road and Larkfield Road.
Yeah, that was good.
And
really good.
It's
You
kind
can
of
get
like
a burger.
It's off the beaten path, It's like, not one of those
new, clean,
very, very busy movie theaters. I don't think there's too many theaters in there, but the quality of the theaters in there are higher. They have the recliner seats. They have a full cocktail bar.
Yep.
They have food that can be delivered to your seat. It was a bougie movie going experience, and I'm glad I got to go there twice in the same week because I got to go see The Godfather, which is why I compared it to Batman, because I had just seen it in the same theater nonetheless in Dolby Digital, which was really cool.
Definitely worth it. It's not, every month, every year that we get to see a 3-hour movie and all get together. So I'm happy we got to see that together. I'm happy we got to see it in a really quality movie theater. Now, on to my nitpicks about the movie. I liked Robert Pattinson's Batman. I did not like his Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
His Bruce Wayne felt very dry. It lacked charisma. And I know he's still kind of mourning, but it was 20 years ago that his parents were killed. So he's had 20 years to kind of train and become into the Batman, hero and things like that. But you'll see for yourselves when you watch the film, the voice that he does for Batman is the same voice he does for Bruce Wayne. It's just awkward. It's flat. And for me, that's kind of like where my nitpicks start. I just didn't like his take on Bruce Wayne. Like, you have to have some sort of charisma if you're like the billionaire playboy. I know he's not that yet.
Yep.
And what I'm going to combat that with is if you see Batman Begins, well, he's not that yet, because this is Batman Begins was actually year 1. So he's even younger than Robert Pattinson was in this film. And he showed tons of charisma in Batman Begins. And his Bruce Wayne, I thought, was really, really good.
Oh, I know what you're saying, though. I know you're just talking about Nolan's Begins,
right?
I mean, even then you can see in the flashbacks how like awkward that he is, like Christian Bale is. But no, I agree.
But
like,
he doesn't have that flat monotone like voice. Like the voice he portrayed for Bruce Wayne was the exact same voice he did for Batman. It just didn't. If you close your eyes, you don't know who's on screen.
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea. It was just awkward.
Like, he has been a billionaire his whole life, regardless. So he, he's also, despite being a reclusive.
Yeah. And he's in his 30s. He's got to be like 28 to 30 in this range. So it's not like he's like a kid, he's a grown ass man in this movie.
There's a lot of examples of, like, I don't know, Batman Earth 2, let's call it, the comic series, where I think they went a little younger with the Batman and Superman characters, and they went a little bit more like, again, we're gonna keep repeating this kind of like gritty, darker
Right.
kind of tone, and I feel like this is what they were modeling.
Yeah, it had like a real
I
Sin
agree.
City kind of vibe to it.
This is
Yeah.
also the first
But
time
no,
we've seen a Bruce
it's-
Wayne that's not like appreciative of his Alfred.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. He really was.
And
kinda
he's like, "You're
dissing
not my
Alfred.
father." He's just,
Yeah, but that came full circle. They tied that thread
Sure,
up
but,
by
like-
having him. They had a nice moment that made me feel good when they.
yeah,
when
but
he
the
was laying
moment was
there.
like he didn't even have any kind of like change in his like tone or change in his like.
He didn't even seem concerned.
He didn't
It
even
was like
seem concerned.
The first thing he
Well,
said
when he
Yeah,
was
it's
driving
a
over,
little-
when he was
it's a
driving in the
little
Batmobile
Twilight.
and he was
It's a
screaming on.
little
Listen,
Twilight.
wait your turn. You can give your reaction. This is my opinion. An opinion is like an asshole. Everybody's got one. So this is what we do this for. Everybody's not going to agree. Everyone's going to have different reactions, different takes on it. But yeah, overall, I thought it was an excellent movie. You should definitely see it. I'll give you an example of why I feel it is necessary for a movie to have a 9.0 or higher to be warranted to see a second time. Because as soon as I came out of The Dark Knight, I had to see it again. Like I had to see those scenes with Heath Ledger as a Joker. To me, this movie did not have any memorable scenes.
Yeah,
Like it's
nothing
been a couple of days since we haven't seen it. I can't really put.
quotable. Nothing quotable.
There's nothing quotable. There's no like iconic
You have a lot
scenes.
of
There's
cats.
nothing that you can kind of like really like go to.
Yeah. I see what
It
you're
just
saying.
didn't have that rewatchability as some of the other Batman movies. Like I can watch Batman '89 any day of the week for Jack Nicholson. As much as I loved all the villains in this movie, there's nothing there that kind of like, oh, I got to see this again. Like when you saw Spider-Man, like, oh, I want to see it again. And you saw it 3 times.
Yeah.
You went 2 days in a row. And then you came to see it with us a third time because you
Yep.
had to see those scenes again.
Yeah.
Because that's what brings you back. To me, that's what warrants something in the 9 range. So
Yeah.
that's why my 8.5 is what it is. Nitpicks aside, awesome movie.